Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Santa's Workshop. We have got, we're starting another project. I know, I haven't got the Caballero done yet, but I'm getting to the point where I could work on it, and while things are drying, I can go do something else. But Brian has been extremely patient, extremely frustrated, and so today we're getting his vehicle in here. It ain't looking like a whole lot right yet, but you got to start somewhere, right? He's pulling out parts, trying to figure out what goes where.
I better know.
Well, you know, Brian, the El Camino has been just a giant jigsaw puzzle. I think this is going to be a giant Lego set.
Yeah.
But we got the frame set up here. We have got just almost completely plumb on that bubble. Thing moved again. It ain't far off. The sides are almost perfectly level. But we are going to get parts laid out and discuss. We're going to start with the front end, I know, because we can get it squared up. Then we're going to do the back end, get the rear axle put in. Then we go with the engine. But at the same time we're setting the engine in, we need to get the body down to figure out where we are going to set it on there. And this is a longer version than normal, isn't it?
The frame?
Yeah.
It's kind of midways.
Okay.
I think the measurements I've seen is kind of in between the shortest and the longest.
Right.
But it's not the shortest, but it's not the longest.
Right. And we're going to do something a little different with his than most people do. Most people will mold the rear bed onto the body. We're not going to do that. We are going to make the bed separate from the body. That way, if we need to take it off, we can unbolt it and lift it off. If we need to take the body off, we can lift it off, leave the bed on. We're just going to make it a lot more user-friendly. So we're going to get some stuff laid out, and we'll come back in a minute and show what we got going. Well, we're getting ready to start welding on Brian's T-bucket. First thing we got to do is put this little bracket on right here. But that's going to give me the perfect opportunity to try out this new welder. I want you to look at this thing. It's a nice size little welder. It's by Yes Welder. It is the First S DP 200. Dual voltage, 7-inch LCD screen, 3-minute quick start. You got an automated fan regulation, smart welding settings, portable, versatile, with upgradable software. Now, one thing I did notice, it did not come with a regulator, which is okay. I've got 2 or 3 myself, but if you're just getting started, that's something you need to be aware of. It does not come with a regulator. But it comes with starter packs of wire. You've got your solid wire here. You have your flux cord here. Well, I do not use flux cord anymore just because I don't like all the splatter. You got you a nice sized MIG gun for my hand. This is going to fit really well. Going to get this hooked up. Got you an extra liner. You have a your MMA stick welding attachment. Kind of like that handle for that. That's a nice deal. Of course, your ground. Well, we're going to get this thing set up and get it turned on, and we're going to see how it does welding that bracket on. Okay, first thing, this right here This is for when you are doing your stick welding. You put your positive in here, your ground in here. But when you're going to do MIG, this little pigtail here needs to come over and hook in to that hot. So it'll transfer your power over to this. That is a booger to get out of there. Let me get my knife. All right. Got that off. Now your attachments down here, spool gun, and I bet you that's a spot for your TIG as well. Make sure those line up. There we go. Let me get my cord over here. And let's go ahead and get your ground hooked up. Got to get the bread ties off of here. There we go. Ground is hooked up. Stick that cord right there. And of course, satisfying. Okay. That's my favorite part of the whole deal right there. And let's see, let's get a cord over here to it. Now, if you're going to run an extension cord to run your machine off of, always make sure you use one heavy enough that you're not going to burn up the machine and tax your electrical system. I always like to use this big heavy monster right here. Show you the size of that thing in with my hand. It definitely can handle the power that these machines need. I want to get me a 220 extension because, like welding his frame, I can do it with the 110, but the 220 will get greater penetration and it would just be better all the way around. All right, I want to stop this for a minute. I want to get my gas bottles over here, get them hooked up, and see what else we need to do. All right, get y'all in here where you can see how we load this up. need that big spool for the small roll. Okay, we already got our grooves in here. Now then. Paper peeled off. You got to be very careful not to let this thing go, because it will unspool and give you a bad day. Alright. There we go. Now let's turn it on. First test, DP200 by Welder. Okay. There it is. All right. You just slide your tip on. Screw it on there. Snug it up. There we go. Now then, when Brian gets here, we will put this thing to work and see what all we can get done. Okay, getting ready to weld this little bracket on. And here's our bracket. Now this thing was cut for a 3-inch pipe, and we're dealing with the 2-inch pipe. So you'll see a little bit of gap right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to weld it down here first and up to right along in here. Then we're going to put a torch to this and tap it gently down till it matches, and then finish out our weld, which it'll look just fine. You won't even be able to tell. But what I have to do, first thing I have to do is find my center mark. Once I find my center mark, I'll measure here to here, find the center on that, and then I can mark it on this. And then we have to find the level. This right here needs to match the level of this, which should not be a problem at all, because I believe it is just almost, yeah, it's almost dead bubble. So, first thing I'm going to do is measure. This is going to be the tape measure I use. I'm going to use the same tape measure on this whole deal. Or if I have to go to another one, I will measure. What we're going to do is I'm going to find a mark halfway down the frame, and I'm going to mark it. And from that mark, that is going to be, I'm going to triangulate from here to there, from here to there. On the back end, triangulate to the same marks. So everything should be square. At least in my mind, that's the way it's supposed to go. And my mind is a scary thing. So let's get this measured, see where we're at. Looks like we are at 23. 23 and 3/4 exactly. So 23 and 3/4. 22 is 11. 23 is 11 and a half. And 3/4. Oh, that would be 3/8. Is that right? Yeah. 1, 2. So it'll be 11 and 7/8. So I'm going to put that down as my first mark. And then we'll measure it from the other direction and see if we're the same. Eleven and 7/8. 11 and 7/8. Right there. All right, that's our center. Now then, we are at 4 1/2, so that would be 2 1/4 each direction. See, 1, 2 1/4. 1, 2. And 1/4. Now then, let's see if our yep, there's our center point. Now I just got to find something I can put on this to level it out. Let me go see what I got. All right. Found me a little line level here. These here are also a product from Yes Welder. Haven't had a chance to use them yet. So I think we're going to do it right now. There we go. I think that is where we want it. So, I need to get the setting set on this welder. And let's throw a couple of tacks on it, see where we're at. That works a lot better. All right. That booger is welded on there. Now, it's not the prettiest in the world, but I was wanting to get penetration on that. I mean, if they all would have turned out like that one right there, I would have been tickled. But I wanted to make sure that sucker was welded solid. Now, after we do our assembly and everything, when we go to cleaning this thing up, we're going to grind it down. If it needs any more tack welds or, you know, a little more welding in certain places, we'll do it then. But for now, we can assemble, make sure everything is correct, and start building a T-bucket. Well, Brian's over here working on another motor that he acquired. Which block is this, Brian? Number 3 for you?
Yep.
All I want to say is really be cautious of the machine shops you use. Because the machine shop that did Brian's did mine. Did a decent job. I have no complaints. But all they did with mine was check it and clean it, wasn't it? And put the cam bearings in. Brian, his last motor, they screwed up when they bored it out. Now they're putting a sleeve in it. It's been 3 weeks and we still hadn't heard from them. So Brian just acquired this one today. Another good 010 4-bolt main block. So he's going to get this one prepped. And
Just in case.
just in case. So, well, we got the front mount put on. Once that cools down, we may set her back in the floor and start assembling the front end. But this Yes Welder, the first S DP200, did a great job. I really love the way it welds. The adjustability is very, very precise on it. And as I said, that was a mighty nice weld right there. I mean, none of them were bad. But boy, it got good penetration on it and just laid it out just as pretty as you please. But we'll come back when we start putting this front end together. All right. I was here by myself yesterday afternoon, so I thought I want to stick this spring on just to see how it looks. Now that Brian's here, we're going to hang an axle, ain't we?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to get you set up right here. And I want to try and talk to you while we do this. First thing we need to do, Brian, is get those bushings knocked into the spring. And I got a little tube of grease over there that I've been putting on them. This grease is the grease they use in CV joints. And don't put a lot on it, just enough for it to slide in good. Can you?
I think I can.
Well, I still want to put grease on them.
Even before you paint it?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
We'll wipe the grease out.
All right.
And the reason being is once you get it in there, you may not be able to get it out.
You want to bet me? They didn't come out too bad.
Let me see one.
Using it lithium or?
This is a molybdenum grease. It's for CV joints. It's not supposed to ever dry out. And this is what was recommended for the steering shaft. And I figure that ought to work good for this. Okay.
Makes a difference, I know.
Well, the thing about it is, when we go to disassemble this thing for paint, it'll make it a whole lot easier to get them out. If you hear me huffing and puffing extra today, it is humidity. How much rain did you say you got last night, Brian?
An inch last night. I think.
Good lands, that one literally fell in.
Yeah, that one did too. About 2 days ago, got 3/4 of an inch overall. 14 and a half, 15 and a half, about 15 3/4 inches.
Wow. I guess you can say this is monsoon season for Oklahoma.
Something. I don't need no more water. Not right now.
Our cousin definitely don't. All right. There's the rag. Hang on.
Yeah, I need to lay me a rag over here. I can hold on to it.
Smear just a little bit of this on these shafts.
Now, have you studied which direction these go?
Well, this right here is your shock mount.
Right, so it'll go
So
up and on
it's
the
going
inside.
to be upper and inside, right like that.
Yeah.
So right there.
Okay.
Let me have a little more of that grease. Hard to pick things up when you got grease on your fingers. Now when we go to paint, all this comes back apart, and we're going to clean it up, degrease it, powder coat as much as we can. Let you slide that in. Show that to the camera, Brian. This right here is your shock mount. This right here is your shackle. We're going to shove that in. Then we're going to take that axle and slide onto the upper pins. here's our plates that go out here when we get that axle slid on. Okay, Brian, that will be your end. Up and over. I'll let you adjust that out. Can you get it? Need a little more slack. Hang on a sec. I can get you some.
Definitely won't have to have the slack.
Well, you got to remember when you put weight on this thing.
Oh, it's going to mash it down, I know.
That spring's going to come out.
I know. You want to keep your fingers out of the way. That's not right.
What's not right?
Yeah, it is. All right.
I haven't got this in yet.
Oh, you have?
Pull yours out just a hair. There it goes.
Got it?
Yep, going in. There we go.
I would probably suggest a good 6 point.
Yeah, but right now we're just going to do that.
Good enough? Okay.
Because I was seeing something that might be wrong. Look how far down those hairpins are going to hang.
That's what I was saying. That's not right.
Lift up on it.
It needs to be flipped half over.
What does?
Ham.
We'll be back after a brief interlude. Okay. Yeah, we thought we had it wrong at first. Then we looked at our book. Those hairpins come up at a pretty good angle. Yeah, Brian, you can stand right here. Your kingpins aren't level till right here. And that hairpin's going to come up like this. So let's get some bolts and put those hairpins on and see how they look.
Give me just a short second, Michael.
Woo, we're crooked. Need to loosen this and straighten up that spring. You know how it looked straight a while ago? Oh, it don't now. Okay. Now I know these are supposed to take pins, but I'm putting bolts in them for right now.
I'm gonna have to get me some glasses.
There it went.
Hey.
Hmm?
I'll show you something.
Now then, come here. Grab hold of that axle on that side. And watch this when we lift up on it. See how it does?
Yeah, so these it's gonna push these up.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, actually, you're not losing a lot of,
yeah, this is not a strong spring.
no. Now, and just think, you still got motor, transmission, everything to put on here.
Oh yeah, I know.
But now that we got it to this point, when we get those tabs in, we can do our cross measurement from right here and find out exactly where we're at. All right, we've gone as far as we can right now. We got to wait for our tabs for these to get in. That way we can get those welded on, get this triangulated, make sure it's square. I got the axle as straight to the front of that as I can, but we discovered this is diamond plated by what did we say, half an inch? It was off a ½ inch diamond plate. So we're going to have to adjust that out so this thing will track straight. But that's easy enough to do. But we got a front end on it. We're going to read up some more, see about adjusting and everything before I finally do the final weld on those. So it'll be a week or so before you see another video on this. But Brian, are you tickled?
Yes, sir.
Good. Show a little more excitement. But anyway, thank y'all for joining us on this, and we will see you next time on Santa's Workshop.